a cat, a tiger, a leopard, a cheetah, and a jaguar and a puma. Reason he doesn't need all of them is because they all cats. He says two of every, bring me one cat representing the cat family. He doesn't need a coyote, a wolf, and a fox, and a dog. Bring me one of them representing the canine family. And I need them 2 by 2. Y'all with me so far? I don't need a horse, a donkey, and a zebra. Just give me one of them. So you don't need every single animal, just one from each species. But imagine, just imagine for a minute, I'm almost done. Just imagine having to be floating in this box over which you have no control, with one window in the ceiling. When you have animals on board, you also have at least 2 other things. One of them will mess with your ears, and the other's gonna mess with your nose. If you got all them animals on board the ark, you know animals make noise. You got some animals that make noise in the morning. You got some animals that make noise late at night. And you got some animals that make noise all day long. So all day and all night, you got noise. And then you also have to deal with the smell. Whose job was that? Can you imagine having to be cooped up for all that time with the animals for a year? Then when you think about it, it's not all that unrealistic, because some of us are right now cooped up with some animals. Some of us been hanging out with that 8 for the last 15 years. Come on, you know people, that 8 with an attitude. Come on, you know. Or how about them mean monkeys you've been running with? Sneaky snakes. Ticked off tigers. Lying lions. Dirty dogs. I mean, come on, you know people like this. And yet this is what Noah had to endure. This is where Noah had to serve. This is the sacrifice that Noah had to make. These are the conditions of Noah's contract. Now, many of us, given those circumstances, never would have given this whole mission a second thought. In fact, many of us won't even serve in comfortable conditions. But I read about Noah, chapter 6, verse 22. Thus Noah did according to all that God commanded him, so he did. Y'all missed it. Chapter 6, verse 22. Thus Noah did according to all that God commanded him, so he did. Okay, I don't have all y'all yet. Thus Noah did according to all that God commanded him, so he did. Now, whenever God mentions the same word more than once in any particular passage, that's the point. That's the point. Twice he says he did. Now, the fact that the word did is there means that God is trying to get you to see something. That little word did in the Hebrew is the word asa. A-S-A-H. Now, usually that word did can also have another meaning, which would be the word bara, B-A-R-A. Bara can only be really, truly ascribed to God, because inherent in the idea of bara, B-A-R-A, is to be able to create something out of nothing. And the only person that has ex nihilistic ability, being able to create something out of nothing, is God. We know he has that ability to make something out of nothing, because look at all of us. What were you before Jesus Christ? But that's not the word he uses here. It's the word asa. And asa can be ascribed to man because in order to live up to asa, all you have to do is be able to create with materials that are pre-existent. So God already, bara, created something out of nothing, and we just took that something that he made out of nothing and fashioned it or refined it into something else. And that's exactly what he does. So the word asa means to work. It means to labor. It means to toil. It means to construct. It means to build. It means to accomplish. It means to prepare, to sacrifice. It means to fulfill. It's to refine something. It's taking pre-existing materials and fashioning them into something. He took the gopher wood and made it into an ark. Now, in order to do that, you have to also be obedient. Noah did what God told him to do. So that if you want to make an impact in this world, you must do what God tells you to do. Even if it requires doing it from an uncomfortable place. Noah was a successful man of God who made an impact on this world as we know it. And he did it from an uncomfortable place. When it got uncomfortable, he didn't go looking for another assignment. He didn't go looking for another friend. He didn't go looking for another church. When it got uncomfortable, Noah stuck in there. I wish I had some help. I'm just trying to tell somebody that when God gives you a command, you got to do whatever God says. When God gives the order, you got to get up and go to work. The Bible is a book of faith, and yet in this very Bible, the word work is mentioned at least 546 times. Striving for success without hard work is like trying to harvest where you have not planted. You cannot just dream yourself into a reality. The only time a lazy person ever really succeeds is when he tries to do nothing. Everybody is the same in their promises. But what sets us apart is when we get up and do something about it. Too many people will never get anywhere because they refuse to do any hard work. Thomas Edison said that opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and it looks like work. True faith has hands and it has feet. And it has hands and feet so that it can take action. It's not enough to know that you know, but you now have to show that you know. Just trying to tell somebody that you'll get nowhere in the kingdom of God without some good old-fashioned hard work. When Noah got the command from God, he went to work and gave it all he had. Even at 600 years old, he gave it all he had. So that if you are a child of God, you've got to give it all you got. If you lead praise and worship, you've got to give it all you've got. If you play an instrument, you've got to give it all you've got. If you sing in a choir, you've got to give it all you've got. If you are a church officer, you've got to give it all you've got. If you are a teacher, you've got to give it all you've got. If you are an usher, you've got to give it all you've got. If you are a ministry leader, you've got to give it all you've got. If you're on the sound team, you've got to give it all you've got. And if you are a preacher, you've got to give it all you've got. I promised the Lord when he called my name that every time I get a chance, I would preach his word. I promised the Lord that I would tell them about a man named Jesus. I promised the Lord that I would tell them how he suffered, that I would tell them how he bled, that I would tell them how he died. I promised the Lord that I would tell them how that early one Friday they led him to a hill called Calvary, stretched him wide, hung him high, dropped him low. I promised the Lord that every chance I get, I would tell them how early Sunday morning he got out of the grave, all power in his hands. I said, I promised the Lord that I would do what he told